Welcome to the Nardi Realty podcast with Robert Nardi. Well, welcome back. Charlie McDermott here, producer, co-host of the show, back at the Nardi Realty studio with Robert Nardi. Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlie. The weather is absolutely picture perfect today. We've got a breeze. It's warm. I mean, it's a perfect beach day. So I'm assuming they're getting packed at this point. Whoever's left over, by the way.
No,
A lot of the Northerners went home.
That's right.
They leave March 31st.
That's what's that, like the end of the 3-month rental
Right.
and stuff. Yeah. I had a neighbor on Fort Myers Beach that would always tell me never go 75 north on April 1st. I guess because all the RVs and people are leaving, or March 31st.
Yeah. Either the 31st or the 1st. Yeah. Some have checkouts the following day, like on the 1st. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I've listened, and I would never want to go north of anywhere in Southwest Florida, other than maybe Fort Myers, but that's as far as I'll go.
Yeah, it gets packed. I mean, I went up to visit relatives up in Indian Shores and Clearwater, St. Pete area, and you get to Sarasota, and it's just lines of cars. I mean, and there's no reason. It's just because they're working on the roads a bit, but still there's 3 lanes, but everyone slows down, and it's just a crazy thing. So hopefully they'll get that finished pretty quickly, hopefully by at least next season. So that would be nice.
Yeah, and then of course they'll be adding a 4th lane because my Lord, right? I remember when we first came down here, I said to Barb, "Oh my goodness, I love how open these highways are and there's no traffic."
Yeah, surprise.
Well, it didn't take long. Jeez. Well, speaking of changes, so we are now in, well, as you said, we're right before Easter 2023, beginning of April. And it's been a little bit since Hurricane Ian did its thing and blew by here in September 28th, as a matter of fact, 2022. Real estate market has been impacted, obviously, and we've talked about this a number of times in previous episodes, Robert, and man, it's been so great for me personally, and I know your listeners, to guide them along this path, whether you're buying or selling. I mean, big decisions. Then you sprinkle in the economy and interest rates and all that. So kudos to you for this podcast. But we were talking off mic, and I know, there's still a lot going on post Ian, and I thought we'd get into that. Bring us up to speed. What's happening? What you're seeing now that we're 8 months?
Sure, it's actually 6 months. I was just kind of because it was September 28th, I think, and then you figured it was, and now it's March 31st. So it's October, November, December, January, February, March. So 6 months.
And hence my poor grades in math when I went to grade school.
That's okay. I had to figure it out too. And notice I use my hands, my fingers. I still do that. So that never goes away. But so what's happening right now is that we're seeing a lot of properties coming back on the market. We are doing that. We've increased our product now about 132% from last year already. So there's about 2,800 units right there. An even market is somewhere around the 5,500 to 6,000 market. So we're slowly creeping up to being a normal market. It's taking a while, and I think it's just the fallout of Hurricane Ian, basically, because there's a lot of homes now that I've noticed, especially in the past 2 or 3 weeks, that are being put back on the market, and they need a tremendous amount of work. They were the ones that were either damaged by wind or damaged by flood. And so they're putting them up, and they're putting them up at a good price, especially closer to the beach. Those prices are better. But it's interesting, but a lot of the people that are putting those prices up, they've already collected the insurance money. And so the insurance money really is going into that seller's pocket, and they're still selling, they're selling it at a discount, but it's still going to take. Someone says, what do you think on average is going to take to get people up to speed? Well, it depends on how large the house is or the condo. But I'm throwing a number out, and this is just me. I mean, I didn't talk to any people, but I just feel like around 300,000 really to get things back to normal for people, between, putting in flooring, all of the appliances, all of the, the decorating, the furniture. I mean, so that's kind of where I'm thinking things are at, around 300,000. But the interesting part is to even find, workers to help and contractors to work with you, because it's just they're hard. It's a hard market still, because that's what I think people thought. I think they had the hope of redoing their properties, but realizing that it's just, it's so many months out before anything can start. Even in my own building, I lost my first floor to the flood, and we just put into permitting in just about 3 weeks ago, and that's it. So they made the building accessible after 3 months, so you could get into the building, you could use the elevators, everything's, electricity, everything's good, but the first floor is gone, basically. So, but no one's even started that yet. I mean, now it's approaching 6 months. So
Wow.
we finally have contracts in place now with contractors, and so now the work will begin. But then you have the permitting process too, and even though Collier County specifically, and even Lee County, I know, also is saying, oh, we're going to hurry it up. But, government is government. I mean, things just don't go at I think their heart is in the right place about hurrying up, but, that didn't happen. The other thing is that there is something in Collier County, which I probably in Lee as well, I'm assuming that, I was not able to stay in my condominium from September 28th and through the end of the year. And they signed a bill saying that you could apply for a rebate of your taxes since you didn't, for that time period. So that's something that you may want to think about. I believe you have until this week or next week to do it, but you've got to get that to the proper, your appraisal, the, Collier County Appraiser's Office, and as well as Lee County, to see if you can get some of that money back. So that might be something of interest to your people. And I applied, and they weren't even supposed to get back to me until June, they said, but I sent it in via email, which I kind of wanted then. I was trepidatious about it because I was like, well, I sent an email, is it ever going to be found? That could go into spam. But, and I did ask for them to confirm, but they never did. But then I got a letter in the mail saying we did receive it. So that was nice. So at least they received it. And then I did receive my rebate for basically 3 months of taxes that I paid Collier County. So that was nice to have come in.
And just again for listeners, where is it that they would go to?
They would just go to they would go to collierappraiser.com, and then there's a form there that they would print out.
That's awesome. Great.
So which is good. But now, like I said, you have these the other side of the coin is you've got these properties that need work, and now there are properties coming back on the market that have been worked on now, and some of them are lovely now. I mean, they said they've all been remediated and they've all been updated and upgraded. But they're asking, bigger prices. I mean, there's like a two bedroom house that's 900 square feet that's been redone, and now they're asking somewhere upwards of, over 400 and something thousand for it. I mean, so now you're like, what do? You're in a rock and a hard place, because I would rather, if I was somebody, I'd rather have something done, but now you're paying a premium to have that done property. So it's an interesting market. The thing is that if you deal with high end, if you have wealth and you want to purchase, the people who have wealth and want to purchase are purchasing. They're purchasing all cash. One of my associates just put under contract a $16 million property, and it's going to be closing in 30 days cash. He's listing at 11.5 million. That should go pretty quickly. So if you're at the higher end, those properties seem to be selling pretty well. It's the properties that are lower that tend to be a little more difficult to get rid of. The properties, and when we say lower, it's laughable, 800,000 or less or something, I'm saying that these properties tend to move a little slower because most people don't have the cash to pay in that category, so they have to look for a mortgage. Well, now the mortgage rates are close to 6.8 now, so they're inching even towards 7%.
Yeah.
So it really limits people from buying, even though they need to buy or they would like to buy, just because of the interest rates. And just as a rule of thumb, and you can't really go by this, but as a rule of thumb, you basically say if the interest rates are 7%, then for every 100,000, it's going to cost you around it's going to cost you, for every 100,000, it's going to cost you $700 for a mortgage. So when you're talking about an $800,000 mortgage times 7,
Yeah.
It's $600 in a mortgage. Plus, it'll probably be a little bit more, anyways. But I'm just saying that's big money to outlay. So it's really, that market's really not moving as quickly as you would think it would be moving. So it's just, but the bigger properties, things that are $1 million or more, they're doing pretty well, because people with money, they want what they want, and they see, and some of them are seeing opportunities, and some of them don't care about, don't forget they have other homes, so they don't care about, well, it may take 7 or 8 months to get this property back into shape, and they figure if they could put $300,000 into it, and either use it or use it as a rental, or just kind of flip it. I mean, they may make money. So there are opportunities there. So it is a long, slow go too. There are people that who are in predicaments of their homes being, basically some of them destroyed. And so they've leveled homes here. I mean, I've noticed there's a lot of vacant lots at a lot of places now. So that was their only thing to do, was to level their home, because it got so much destruction. It was almost impossible to rebuild it. So that's sad. It makes me sad.
Yeah.
But, we are on the mend, and things are getting better. Especially here in Collier County. I recently showed some property in Lee County off of Estero Boulevard by the beach, by the water. And a lot of those buildings haven't even been touched in 6 months. I felt a little depression. And then the old homes that used to be physically sitting on the water, that were 50 years old, 40 years old, they're all gutted. I mean, there's a frame, maybe a frame.
Yeah.
So, once again, I think people are just kind of figuring out what they need to do. And then you've got buyers too now that are saying, we're just, with the higher interest rates, maybe we'll just sit on the fence a little bit longer, see if other things go down a little bit more. But I don't believe that these prices will go down drastically. They're just not going to happen, because I think that when we see the 50,000 and the 100,000 deductions and all of that, I'm just seeing prices that were way overpriced to begin with, and they're coming down.
Yeah.
So I really don't think that we're going to be in the debacle that we were in the Great Recession, things that are just going to plummet. They're not. Actually, good news to hear is that mortgage delinquencies are actually at a very, almost like a low, like they're not happening as frequently. So when we finally learned from that, the recession, the Great Recession, about lending and lending practices, that was all revised. So it was very strict. It is strict now to get a mortgage. So now all those people that bought over those years can afford to buy something, unless something catastrophic happened to them, losing a job, losing something, but we're much stronger in that respect. I think we're a much stronger housing market. So
yeah. Wow, you covered a lot. But going back to when you started, Robert, it seems like if you're not in a hurry to move in, that it's a great time to buy and even sell, because to your point earlier, that for those homeowners who have received or are getting, I'm still getting checks from insurance, the need to get the top price is really mitigated, because hey, it'd be great if it was 2 years ago and people were overpaying or whatever it was. But it seems like both the buyer and the seller, it's a true win-win, because the buyer can get a home at at a better price. Now, yeah, they're going to have to put that money into it to fix it up, but interesting. Wow.
Yeah. But we're on our way to an even market now. I mean, we
Yeah.
definitely have half the amount of inventory, and my belief is that we're going to continue to see it. We're going to see more product on, and which is great for buyers, gives them the opportunity. Just last year in January and February, it was so minuscule, the amount of inventory. I think at one point we had like 900 units, which is crazy, in all of Collier County, at least 900. That was it. So
Yeah.
At least now it's making its way back up, and you could see that things are longer on market now. And even if you look at your North Naples magazine, you'll see that I produce actives and all of what's on the market. And I mean, there's a lot more on the market now than there ever was, a year ago. In fact, we were probably scraping to find things that I could put in your magazine to show what's on the market.
Yeah. And if you did, it was gone before it even hit the press. I mean,
right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, good stuff. You have a happy Easter, and
thank you.
Keep enjoying the wonderful weather. And I'm going to sneak outside today as well, because I haven't gotten outside yet, but I've heard it's just every day is awesome. But
well, that's why I say we live in paradise, and it's so beautiful. My hometown is Cleveland, Ohio, and I went up this weekend briefly and for a 50th anniversary, and the first day was cold, rainy. It was 40 degrees. Then the next day was dark. And then finally the third day had sunshine, but 40 degrees. I mean, this is April.
No.
And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we are so blessed to have such a beautiful weather in Naples, Florida, and Southwest Florida, all of Southwest Florida, really. But we are so blessed, because I'm like, I can't imagine, that's April. But I do have to say Cleveland's quite lovely and beautiful in the summer, and then the fall time. Fall time, it's beautiful with all the leaves changing and everything. But for me, I'm like, I love my warm weather. That's the warm weather guy.
I am with you 300%.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Well, hey, thanks again. Great information, and we'll see you in the next episode, Robert.
Sounds good, Charlie. Take care. All my best.
Thank you for listening to the Nardi Realty Podcast with Robert Nardi. To learn more about Nardi Realty, go to www.buynaples.net. That's buy, B-U-Y, Naples, Naples.net, or call 239-293-3592.